So let's quickly do a replay of what our expectations were as at yesterday's live session. So remember, we took advantage of this buy opportunity right above the 135.300 level on Wednesday. And during the live session yesterday, we were around this point. Hold on a second. We were around the 136.800. And what we noticed here is that price has broken out of the 136.450. That was during our live session yesterday. We saw the breakout of the 136.450. And if you have been part of us since the beginning of this week, you will remember that the 136.450 level was supposed to be our yardstick for trading activities for this week. Remember, we identified that structure at the beginning of the week when we saw how that level at one point in time was holding by pressure. So we saw how that level has been, and after following this reversal pattern we noticed here in the form of a double bottom structure and price breaking out of the neckline of that structure followed by buying pressure right above the 136.450, we said we were going to get ready to buy the USDJPY. And a matter of fact, we bought it right above the 136.700 area. We saw a breakout, we saw a retest of that structure, and we actually joined that rally to the upside. So we had two positions on Monday. We had one here, then we had the second one before we started seeing selling pressure right below the 137.700, which later broke down this bullish trend line. In fact, it was a massive move which I personally missed, but those who took advantage of this move were very, very lucky to have been in that position prior to that move happen. So we saw a situation here as soon as price came into the $134.700 area. We saw that price was caught within a huge channel between the 135.750 and the 134.700 area to further emphasize the indecision in this market. Now, in addition to the structure here, we remember we were within a very important key level, that is the 135 Japanese yen area. That is this area where we said we saw the retest of the structure. Let me quickly show you how important the 135 Japanese yen level is so that we can all be on the same page, especially for those who missed out on our earlier session this week. So let's quickly run through the daily time frame here and see how important the 135 Japanese yen level was. So here we are on the daily time frame here, and let me clean this up so that we can have a clean chart. So see, at the beginning of the week, beginning of the year rather, we had a situation where price has been on a bullish momentum, and as a result of this, we had this bullish trend line figured out. As you can see, price consistently respected this bullish trend line, especially since the month of March. However, during the month of August, we saw a reversal pattern here in the form of a double bottom structure. Then, whenever we have a reversal pattern like this, the next thing we want to be doing is to identify the neckline of that reversal pattern. And we had a neckline identified at around the 135 Japanese yen level, which price broke out of that structure during the later part of the month of August. And in fact, it took price action over 3 to 4 months before price action came back to do a retest of the 135.00 level. As you can see here, we saw the first rejection of that level. We saw the second rejection of that level, evolving into a possible reversal pattern here in the form of a double bottom structure, which might likely incite another wave of bullish momentum if buyers are lucky enough to break out of the neckline of this double bottom structure here, which we were able to identify at the $137.700 level. So if a breakout of the 137.700 level happens today, retest of structure, we might want to be getting ready to join that counter trend opportunity in such a way that we'll be having our TP target right along this bullish trend line, which was broken during the mid-month of November. And from a technical standpoint, whenever we have a breakdown of a structure like this, we expect that one point in time price is likely going to come back and do a retest of that structure, if possible, incite another wave of bearish momentum. So we shall be looking forward to price breaking out of the 137.700 area in order to buy the USDJPY. So you would agree with me, we're at a very critical point here around the 137.700. So if selling pressure continues here, then we might want to join the decline back into the 135 Japanese yen level. But if a breakout with buy pressure right above the structure, we want to be taking advantage of that bullish momentum. So that is the scenario we have here on the daily time frame. I wanted to show you how important the 135 Japanese yen level so that we can be on the same page while I share my ideas on the 1 hour time frame. So with that being said, let's scale back down to the 1 hour time frame where we shall be going back to the current structure we are talking about. So right back to the 1 hour time frame. So this is the 135 Japanese yen level. And where is the 137.700? Sorry, I want. Okay, we have the 137.700 here. So this is the 135 Japanese yen level here, which we said the breakout of the neckline price action came back to do a retest of that structure. So we saw the multiple rejection of this area here, and I told you on Wednesday that we are going to be buying right above the 135.300, and a matter of fact, price respected, moved as expected. Then we also had another position here. Then we also had another position here yesterday with a TP target around the 138 Japanese yen level, and in matter of fact, price hit our TP target exactly during the New York session yesterday. So with the first position, we had over 270 pips. The second position gave us about 220 pips. And the third position gave us about 120 pips in profit. So even though we missed out on the sell position here, we were able to recoup some profit after joining the buy position right above the $135.300 level. So right now, remember I told you yesterday that as soon as price it's our TP target at the 138.00 level, we want to remain patient to see how price action is going to relate to that structure. As you can see, if we zoom out a little further, we can see how that level has been a major determinant of price action since the later part of the month of November. We saw how that level was holding by pressure here before the breakdown of that structure happened during the first day of this month. We saw the breakdown of that structure, and since then we have been witnessing selling pressure below the $138.800 level. And you can see what happened here during the New York session yesterday. We also saw selling pressure below that structure to push price to the downside. So at this point in time, let's see how we will intend to take advantage of any trading opportunity during the New York session today. So first of all, I would like us to have a clean chart. So I would like to delete some unnecessary structures that are not going to be needed during the New York session today. So let me delete all this one so that we can have a clean chart here. So I will be extending this bullish trend line. Remember, this level has been holding bullish momentum since the beginning of this week. So we need to also take that into consideration as well. So that is what we have here. So now if we zoom into the current structure and look at what has been happening here in the last 24 hours. So this is what we have here. This is what I was able to identify here during the early hours of this morning. So you can see following the bearish momentum below the 138.00 level, we saw that as soon as price got into the 137.150, we saw that price was caught within a tight channel between the 137.150 and the 137.400 area. And remember, whenever we have a simple setup like this, like a flat channel following an impulsive move, then we want to be seeing this as a possible trend continuation pattern. So what we are going to be looking forward to whenever we have such situation like this is wait out for a signal, which is likely going to come in the form of either a breakdown of the channel or a breakout of the channel to give us an opportunity to join the direction of the price action. So in this scenario here, as at this morning, I think I shared this on my public platform where I said a breakdown of the 137.150 was a good idea for us to join that decline. And we actually took advantage of this move this morning, moved our stop loss to break even, and in fact, price took us out of the position at break even as price came back to our entry point around the 135.150 Japanese yen level. Now, with this situation here, with the current structure we have here, it's looking very, very bearish at this particular point in time. from a technical standpoint, if we take into consideration the breakdown of the 137.150 retest of structure here, and if we scale down to a lower time frame, selling pressure below the 137.150 should be inciting another opportunity to join that decline to the downside. And if a further breakdown of the $136.800 level with selling pressure below the structure, we want to be adding more position to our existing trade. Now, there is a catch here if a sell opportunity comes in here. Now, if we look at this structure here and look at how this trend line has been guiding price action since the beginning of this week, remember we connected the higher lows here to give us that bullish trend line, though we had the breakout of the structure, but fortunately for the buyers, price climbed up again, and since then price has been trading above that structure. So if we join this bearish momentum to the downside, if it happens, and then price comes into this bullish trend line, which also shares a confluence with that key level we said is going to be serving as our yardstick for this trade, for the trading activities for this week. We are going to be moving our stop loss accordingly, locking some profit somewhere above below the 136.800, as we want to see how price action is going to relate to that structure. So if we start seeing buy pressure right above the structure, then we want to be getting ready to join the second wave of that bullish momentum. However, if price breaks down the structure and we start seeing selling pressure below the 136.450, then we want to be thinking of adding more position to our existing sell position on the USDJPY. So that is my scenario here on the USDJPY. However, we also want to take into consideration what if price does not continue to the downside, that is below the 137.150, and instead price breaks out of the $137.400 level. And if you look at the structure here, let me zoom out a little bit. Okay, I think I will have to go to a much higher time frame. So let's choose the 3 hours time frame here. So if I go out to the 3 hours time frame here, look at what has been happening here since the later part of the month of October. We saw our price has been finding lower heights, and as a result of this, we had this bearish trend line figured out as price action has consistently respected that bearish trend line. And in the matter of fact, in the last 24 hours, we are around that area, which has a tendency of sending price respecting that trend line one more time to push price to the downside. And if it doesn't, and price breaks out of the 137.400, which I identified on the 1 hour time frame, and see how that level also shares a confluence with the resistance, the bearish trend line here. So if a breakout of that structure happen, that could turn out to be a bullish signal. So I just wanted to show you how important that trend line is here on the higher time frame. So let's go back to our lower time frame. So right back on the 1 hour time frame here. So like I said, if price breaks out of the 137.400, a level which also shares a confluence with the bearish trend line here, and also the resistant level of this channel where price action has been caught within in the last 12 hours now, and we start seeing buy pressure right above that structure, we might want to be getting ready to join the trend continuation to the upside. And if price breaks out of the 138 Japanese yen level, buy pressure above the structure should further emphasize another opportunity to add more position to our buy trade. So these are my views here on the USDJPY. If you have any questions, feel free to drop your inquiries in the comment section, and let's see how I can be of help in that regard.